Hey everybody, I'm in my house now. Haha. Okay, I needed to tell you about online options. Well, not saying the word okay. Almost said it. So I posted up in front of one of the walls of nerdiness inside my house in case you were questioning my nerd credentials. Uh, those of you that can recognize some of the things behind me maybe can calm down about that a little bit. Hey, look, my cat has joined me and she's going to yell at you. You're welcome. Okay, so online options. There's a couple of reasons why you might be interested in this. One, you have coronavirus and are stuck in your house or something, and you're isolating and things. So we got to have online options throughout the semester. Um, in case you have to isolate, or in case we have to pivot to online sometime during the semester because stuff happens like is happening in Pullman and at WSU. Um, and the good news is there are online options. The bad news is they don't really involve Drosophila. So if you're super into fruit flies, the online thing won't really scratch that itch, unfortunately. The good news is if you're into video games or quantitative genetics or evolutionary genetics, you'll really enjoy the online options, I think. So I'm just going to give you the really basic intro to what those things involve, and then unlike the Drosophila stuff where I expect you to kind of jump in the deep end and struggle for a bit, I'm going to do a bunch of tutorials, and the TAs I think are going to do a bunch of tutorials about how to use the games that we create in my game lab, our game lab, Terry and my game lab, polymorphic games, to do hypothesis tests. And so we'll kind of show you how to do that. The cool part of the video game stuff is it allows you to get at quantitative genetics and evolutionary genetics, which is tough to do in a one semester lab using actual organisms because you're going to do simulations instead. Even with a fast turnaround, fast generation time organism like Drosophila, it takes several months to get enough data to do anything. Either several months or lots and lots of flies to do anything in those fields. So we'll do some simulations with video games for those things. Now, if you're in Bio 310, Craig is going to cover quantitative genetics and evolutionary genetics, but I don't know this year where in the course sequence. When I used to do it recently, I would do transmission genetics, and then I'd do quantitative and evolutionary genetics and population genetics, and then I'd switch over in the latter half of the class to all of the molecular genetic stuff. If Craig does it that way, then about halfway through the semester, you're going to hear about heritability and Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium and natural selection and stuff like that. And those are the kinds of topics that we'll be able to do some experiments with these games. Okay. Basic thing is, Terry's the chair of computer science. He and I, about 5 years ago, we started an experimental game studio called Polymorphic Games, where we hire undergrads, and they come and they work for us, and they make video games that are based on evolutionary models. And so the enemies have digital genomes, and the genomes determine all their traits, and their traits determine how well they do against your defenses. And then they adapt, and they destroy you really fast. And then we coined this term, evolution always wins. So the game that is most likely to be used by students in this lab is called Darwin's Demons. And if you are familiar with the game Space Invaders, it's like evolutionary Space Invaders. If you are not familiar with the game Space Invaders, I want you to text or call your dad, and chances are he is around my age, and I want you to say, Dad, my genetics professor made an evolutionary version of Space Invaders. What's Space Invaders? Chances are your dad's going to be like, wow, Space Invaders rolls of quarters in an arcade and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it'll be hilarious. And you'll just be like, good job, Dad, you're old. Okay? Good. Insult your father. That's the take-home message. Anyway, Darwin's Demons, it's like evolutionary Space Invaders. Lots of videos coming on how to do this. So if you're really wanting to do this kind of stuff, be patient. Over the next week, you're going to get a lot of information on how to do that. We prefer no matter what, unless you're all online, we prefer that you do the first 2 Drosophila experiments no matter what. They're relatively straightforward, and it's nice in a genetics lab to get some experience with Drosophila and some just basic kinds of genetic thinking. But if you're like remote and doing all online, it's okay to just do only video game experiments and stuff like that. There's a couple of other games. Project Haster is a tower defense game. It's much more ambitious. It's like 3D and stuff like that. It was crazy. Anyway, that's also available. Both Darwin's Demons and Project Haster have something called experiment mode, where you get to set all of the parameters of the evolutionary model in the game mode and all of that kind of stuff. And so then you run the game under certain conditions, and then you can change experimental parameters like, say, turn fitness functions on and off, or change the mutation rate if you want, or something like that. And so we'll use experiment mode to run simulations, and we'll teach you a little bit about replication. And the other cool thing is, in order to analyze the data, you're going to have to learn a little bit of R. So we'll do some videos showing you how to use R to analyze the data from these games. So I'll do those videos because I know how to use R a little bit. The TAs, I think all of them know Python, and so if we can pull it off, we're going to have some of them do some Python videos. These are skills, R and Python, and data science skills in general, data literacy skills, super useful in terms of your career, right? If you can handle data, you understand data. This is like a good set of lab experiments to do for those of you that are inclined in that direction. If you're like a super molecular dork, if you're super into molecular biology, good job, yay. Many of you won't be that into the game thing. You'll be perfectly, adequately happy running the Drosophila experiments, and that'll be great. So anyway, just wanted to give everybody a heads up in terms of the online option. That's coming. I'm just trying to focus on getting the Drosophila stuff going, getting everybody kind of oriented in this first week of lab, and then we'll start pumping out videos on how to access that kind of stuff. If you're super nerdy and you already have a Steam account, Darwin's Demons is free on Steam, and you can run it on PC, Mac, and Linux. So if you're really into it and you want to just check it out, you can go get Darwin's Demons for free right now. If you're really interested in Project Haster, I need you to send me an email. Please don't buy it. I'm not the kind of professor that wants you to buy the stuff that I make. I would prefer to give you a Steam key and then you get it for free. So, and then there's other projects that we're working on. We're working on a mobile game, for example, and stuff like that. So there may be some opportunities later in the semester to help us test that sucker out. We're never making another mobile game again. What a nightmare. So anyway, that's the online stuff for Biology 315. Should be fun. Look at all the nerdy things behind me. It's really cool. Look at it. Look at all that stuff. Some of you know what that is. Most of you don't. Anyway, hopefully, I'm looking forward to meeting a few people tomorrow, but not everybody. Bye.